Hi guys, welcome back to Style on Toast. It's been ages and ages, but in the move I've been really struggling to find things to talk to you about on this channel because it's mostly DIYs and stuff like that. I haven't really got back into my kitchen yet, so I mean, you know, I've been cooking, but I'm really struggling to figure out the oven, so I haven't been able to do any kind of cooking or baking or anything like that in the way of a video. So I thought I would show you something that I embarked on before we moved, and it was a bit of a DIY. It was my first foray into chalk paint. And I made over some chairs that I was given from my grandma when we first moved in about 6 or 7 years ago, and I just didn't like them. They were very kind of old-fashioned looking. They were Urquhart chairs, which I didn't know what that meant then. My dad was very, you know, they're very expensive chairs, but when you give someone something and say, oh, it's a very expensive whatever, if it's not their taste, it doesn't mean they're going to like it just because it was expensive. But I knew that I had to, you know, keep them. I couldn't let go of them, I couldn't throw them away, anything like that. I knew I had to keep hold of them. At one point I did try to spray them white. I sprayed them silver. I can't really remember doing this, but I did spray them silver. I have some before pictures where they are just like horrendous. I don't really know what happened. I obviously did absolutely no prep whatsoever and just tried to spray paint them silver. It didn't go very well. It kind of just looks like I ran out of paint. And then at one point I tried to paint them white, same deal. Just like super lazy on my part. So I was reading something about chalk paint and how it requires no prep whatsoever. You don't need to sand, you don't need to do any kind of prep, just paint it, and then it dries pretty quickly. And I thought, well, I've got those chairs in the garage. We were thinking we were going to change our dining setup completely because our dining table was big. It was not the right colour that I wanted for the new house, and I wanted something small because we just had kind of, it's over there, a little dining nook situation going on rather than a dining room. And so I thought, I'm going to bring out these chairs and give it a go. I'm going to paint them grey because that's our colour scheme, and I'm going to try this chalk paint. So I thought I would kind of take you through the journey of doing it and show you how I did it and let you know kind of what I did, getting uncomfortable, what I did, what I would do differently and all that stuff. So I picked up some chalk paint. It will be listed below, the brand and all that stuff. Some chalk paint from B&Q. It's the only one. It was a tiny little stand, and I think it was, I want to say it was called anthracite, the colour that I got. And I just literally painted it on. There was no prep whatsoever. I just cleaned them down and everything and made sure they were dry. But other than that, because they've been sitting in the garage for a long time, but other than that, I did nothing. So I painted it all on. I did dry really quickly. I did 2 coats within a few hours on all chairs, on all 4 of them. Really awkward chairs to paint because they're just so spindly and lots of details and all that stuff. But they looked really good. I did find that some of them kind of started to chip, which was not great. So I probably, if I was to do it again, I probably would still sand them down, because I think part of the reason that I had the problem was because I'd already done some things to it. It wasn't straight onto the wood, and even if it had been straight onto the wood, we're talking varnish, not regular wood. It was like a very highly lacquered wooden varnish that was or wood varnish that was on there before I painted them to begin with. So although it says no prep, if you want them to look the absolute best, I would recommend that you prepping something. Another thing, I tried a few different methods of painting them. Because the chalk paint will show texture, it will show brush strokes, and it is quite thick. I would recommend a sponge. If you are doing the same kind of chairs that I did, they're like spindly ones, I found towards the end that when I was brushing, I was doing them with a sponge. It was giving them just enough paint, so it wasn't overdoing it. I wasn't getting brush strokes because it was practically a roller. But it was just a nicer effect, just generally a smoother finish. And probably I would have done 2 or 3 very thin layers rather than 1 or 2 very thick layers, and it wouldn't have chipped. I haven't experienced much chipping, but you know, just something to be aware of. So once they were all completely dry, I waxed them. Same brand of varnish, or same brand of wax rather. Never waxed anything in my life before, had no idea what to expect. And it's a really strange thing. The wax is like soft, but it is so strong. The scent is absolutely insane. You will kill yourself if you do this in a non-ventilated room. It gave me a headache. It just didn't make me feel great because I just wasn't prepared, and I was doing it in the living room. Not a good idea. The room smelled like varnish for days and days. Do it outside preferably, or just somewhere that you can open all of the windows. I mean, our old house, our living room was, we weren't allowed to use our gas fire because there technically was no ventilation because it went straight out into conservatory, which had no windows we had no windows to the outdoors. So it was just the worst possible room to do it in. But I varnished on top, and I used a lot of varnish. And again, this is something that probably in hindsight I should have done a little bit and layered it up if I felt like I needed to. But I'm someone that just kind of throws myself into these things, and I just loads and loads of varnish in tiny, tiny strokes and tried to, you know, get it really, really into the paint to set it all. But I did find that in some areas the varnish took off the paint, which I was not prepared for. So again, make sure that the paint is 100% dry and a little bit of varnish, tiny, tiny amounts in little sections. The varnish did change, or the wax rather, sorry, did change the colour of the chalk paint, which I wasn't expecting. It actually looks pretty good, and it's a little bit of a shabby chic kind of look, which wasn't necessarily what I was going for. I know that chalk paint, that's what people do, but I was just going for something that was low maintenance and quick to do rather than that particular effect. But it did change the colour, which meant that all the brush strokes that I wasn't getting in between those brush strokes with the varnish or with the wax, they were a brighter or a paler grey than the waxed area, which was a darker grey. Again, if I'd used something that was going to give less brush strokes, like a sponge or just a generally nicer brush or a finer brush, that wouldn't have happened. And it was something that I kind of wish I'd known in advance, but it hasn't really changed how I feel about the chairs. I still really, really like them. As it happens, these chairs seem to have become super popular all of a sudden. You get lots of versions of the chairs. I think Next did one last season that were like £100 for 2 chairs or something, which is kind of cool because now I have them for nothing because they were hand-me-downs and I've repurposed them and decorated them to my taste, and I really, really like them. But I wanted to go through with you my issues with painting with absolutely no experience and no prep. I'm just kind of throwing myself into it, and I wanted to show you what they look like before and after, and just tell you kind of my experience with it. So if you've got any tips or anything about chalk painting, please let me know. Please let us know in the comments. I think the chairs look way, way better now, and we've been sitting on them and using them and they're completely fine. There's the odd like nick here and there that I could touch if I want to, but I'm kind of cool with it for now. At some point I might sand them completely down and start over. And I have heard that you can kind of put 2 layers of 2 different coloured chalk paint on and then very, very nicely, you know, very, very gently sand and get quite a shabby chic 2-toned effect there, which is pretty cool. But for now I'm leaving them as they are because I really like them and they go with my colour scheme very, very nicely. But yeah, I hope that this was useful for those of you who are thinking of maybe doing it. It really is so, so easy. I mean, this is kind of worst case scenario what I'm showing you because I had no idea what I was doing. So if I did it and it looks kind of generally okay, then if you did it with a little bit more research or a little bit of experience or just, you know, a little bit more patience and prep, then it could look absolutely amazing. So yeah, this was my little DIY before and after. If you'd like to see some more of these, because I'm going to do some more in the house, I'm thinking of painting a little mini kind of upholstered chair with chalk paint, because I've seen a lot of things about that on Pinterest. So if you'd like to see that, then let me know. And if you have, again, any suggestions or recommendations or just general, please don't do that. Please leave those in the comments as well. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!